Dean Withers versus the world. Quick heads up, this is an audio-based reaction. Let's go. Alright guys, let's get into it. We got Dean Withers here versus 20 Trump supporters. One liberal teen versus 20 Trump supporters. I've been on Dean Withers' show before, his little TikTok shit where he invites people on and he just talked over me the whole time and then blocked me. So I literally could not even get a point across, and he just doesn't debate people who are actually smart. He just puts on the dumbest people you can find, and he's just a fraud. He's an idiot. He's a fraud. I don't think he deserves a platform at all. I think he should definitely be taken off the air. He's detrimental for the political space. Obviously, he doesn't say the N-word or say slurs, so that makes him bulletproof, I guess, when it comes to cancel culture. This is why cancel culture is stupid. But, he's an idiot. I think he's more detrimental to the space than somebody who might say slurs and get canceled for that. So I think he should be canceled because he's a censorship tyrannist. So, tyrant, not tyrannist. That's not a real word, but maybe it is. Who knows? But tyrant, that's what he is. He's a little boss baby, tyrant, crybaby, pussy. So, let's get into it.
Harris would be better.
I'm gonna jump around. As always, it's a 2-hour video. I'm not reacting to that.
Better than Trump. The first category is character.
Speaking of which,
You can't judge somebody's character. You don't know their character. I would argue that character is largely irrelevant to who our president is. They're a figurehead that, I don't want to say enforces policy, but pushes forth policy, right? Policy changes, policy amendments, policy maintenance. That's what's important. Their character is almost an afterthought. And there's no way you can judge or gauge what somebody's character is. You don't know them. You're watching their debates, curated political talking points on TV. You're not going to be able to assess their character anyway. So I think this is a flawed line of reasoning within politics to begin with.
If we're bringing up stuff from the past, we can say she slept with Willie Brown, broke up a family just to get her job.
She got 4.5.
I don't think it matters that she slept with somebody that doesn't really have anything to do with the job. Obviously, if it was within the organization, like the Coldplay lady, that's extremely unacceptable, like Kristen Cabot or whatever, because you are an HR person. You're tasked with protecting the company and its employees, and here you are sleeping with the CEO or whatever. What if he's doing something bad? That's a huge conflict of interest. You know what I mean? That's bad. Kamala Harris being a thought on her own time doesn't really move the needle for me.
5 million votes to get into AG and DA and slept with 0 of them.
You don't know that.
So he likes to recite stats and just scream because logical reasoning is harder than doing what he does. Just practicing his vocabulary and yelling shit, practicing logical fallacies, straw manning, ad homineming people. So let's get into it. I'm just going to skip through and go to an actual talking point. Let's get started. I'm not a Republican. I'm not a liberal. I'm an independent. But I really don't like blue these days, and especially not the guys like Dean Withers, these new people who are really soft, really crybaby pussies.
Trump is a racist.
I'm not going to have my own personal stance on this. To be honest with you, the guy probably is a little racist. I don't really care. I used to care. I used to think that was a huge factor. But the reality is this is a democracy. If the people want a racist in office, then they're going to get a racist in office. And that's exactly how it should work. That's by design. All right. So that's the one thing I'm going to say. I'm not going to debate whether this guy is a racist. I don't know him. I don't know his views. He seems like he has some racially biased viewpoints and perspectives. He wanted to ban Muslims from the country for a little bit. I don't know if I agree with that, but I'm not going to define his whole candidacy off of that.
Yeah, so I don't understand how people get this idea that Trump is racist. My family came from a communist country. They came from Cuba, and they came from Mexico. So I don't see anything or any statement that he's ever made that's racist. There's accusations, but there's no facts behind it. And this whole idea that all Hispanic...
Well, he did make the comment about, we gotta ban Muslims until we can figure out what's going on, right? I think that got scrubbed from the internet. People don't remember that, but he did say that. And I'm not going to say it matters, but he has said things that are slightly racist, that have racial undertones. The shithole countries and stuff like that. Again, does it matter? Does it matter? That's the question we should be asking. To me, the answer is no, it doesn't matter. It's not relevant whether this guy doesn't have that much unilateral power as people seem to believe that the president has this like sweeping unilateral discretion over how the country is run. He doesn't, man. There are checks and balances. This is basic civics, right? Like, the president does not have that kind of latitude where if he's a racist, the whole country is now racist. The policy is racist. Obviously, it's a signal, and maybe we don't want a racist in office. Maybe we do. Maybe some people do want that. Who knows? But the point is, it's a ridiculous concept here. This is a ridiculous thought to have. He's a racist. He shouldn't be in office. He has poor character. Is he going to be good at the job, right? You're hiring a fry cook. Do you care if the fry cook smokes weed on his own time? If he's the best fry cook? You know what I mean? You care if he agrees with you politically? Do you care if he plays different video games than you? Does it matter, really? He's got to flip burgers. Let's say he's exceptional at flipping burgers. He's on the millisecond every time when he flips that burger. And his wrist movement is smooth. It flips like 6 times, it lands. You know, maybe it's an open kitchen, people see it and they're like, wow, and then they come in. You know what I'm saying? Like, is that more important to you when you're hiring a fry cook? Or is it more important that the fry cook is not a racist in his own time? Doesn't fucking matter. The guy's the president. We are making a hiring decision as the people of the United States. I don't vote, but you people are making a hiring decision. There's certain criteria that you should look at when you're making a hiring decision. It's not whether or not he has certain biases and views. Well, I suppose you could consider that for a role as important as the president, but I think it's overweighted.
Are illegal immigrants and they came here undocumented is not true, because my family came here on both sides through the legal immigration process, not illegally here.
Okay, so that was a bold claim. You just said that, there's no facts to substantiate the idea that Donald Trump is going to be a racist. So in the 1970s, there's civil litigation held against him by the DOJ of the state of New York for literally not renting to black people. What they did is they'd send in, quote-unquote, testers to his rental properties at the time. They'd send in a white person. The white person would ask the property manager if they had any available properties to rent. They'd say, yes, here we go, here's a housing application. Then they'd send in a black tester that asked the same question, and then they'd actually be denied. When this was investigated by the DOJ, the property manager told them that this was just a quote-unquote order from the higher-up, from this boss, from Donald Trump. And then they investigated Donald Trump, brought civil litigation against him, and they essentially determined that, he wasn't renting to black people, in which he then had to promise the DOJ that he was no longer going to racially profile in his housing application, and even had to put ads in the New York newspaper saying that he rent to black people.
So what you're saying is basically he's not renting to black people, but yet he employs a lot of minorities. He employs a lot of blacks, Asians, Hispanics onto his staff. So why wouldn't he be renting to black people? That doesn't make any sense. Also,
because it is an example of racism.
But also is an example that the Department of Justice is weaponized against people that do.
Fair. I mean, honestly, I don't like Dean, but he makes a good point there. If that's what he was doing, then that is obviously racist. I mean, you could argue it's a business move if these racist white people were his consumers and they didn't want to be around colored people, black people in this instance, then is he just a businessman for giving them what they want and making sure that he's able to serve his consumer base? Possibly. Does that make him a racist specifically? I mean, look. Let's not. I'm not trying to build veils up for the guy. Chances are he's a little racist. Okay, I'm gonna skip past this topic because it just doesn't matter, right? It doesn't really. It's immaterial whether he himself is a racist or not. It's about what policies he's gonna enact. And I'm not a supporter of Trump, but I just think that I used to have TDS like a motherfucker, man. Like, I think that this is just a waste of time to talk about the person's character in office. Joe Biden's probably a racist, bro. Everybody wants to vote for the Democrats when we're us, right? Colored people that have this tone of this melanin. Like, is Biden any better? Like, let's be real. He's the one that was like, oh, these poor kids can't match up with these white kids, right? Like, he's, what I mean? These people all think like that. Let's be real. These are old white dudes, rich, political class white people, bro. They're all racist. The Democrats are not absolved of that. Like, let's just move on.
He was pushing pro-economic policies, which were furthering the American economy. I mean, right now, if you go to a gas station, you're paying more money to fill up your car. Going to the grocery store, you're paying more for meat, you're paying more for groceries, you're paying more for a lot of things. Taxes are higher right now. So
Donald Trump doesn't care about the American people. I don't think any politician cares about the American people, but I want to see what talking points they get into here.
Why taxes are higher right now? We're still under Donald Trump's tax code.
We're not completely. No, that's not true. That's not true.
Yes.
Because each individual state can impose their own taxes.
Federal
I'm going
taxes from the
to give you an
federal
example.
tax
In Los Angeles County, they passed all these other measures, increasing quarter-cent sales tax here in Los Angeles County. And what do they do with the money? They misuse the money. They don't even use it to fix the streets. They allocate all this funding towards the homeless, billions of dollars, saying they're going to build all these shelters. They're going to build public housing, and yet all the money goes to administrative costs. It goes into the pension system. So they're misusing the money. They're not using the money to actually help people. So if you think about someone who's going to help people, Democrats have been.
So this is where I think this debate gets a little too granular for me. I'm not that politically aware. I'm politically aware, but I'm not going to be able to tell you what goes on in each municipal jurisdiction like LA County. Like I don't know. I'm not that well versed on these topics, and I think that that's by design, that these debate artists, kind of people who really are into politics, try to go into these really enigmatic and specific areas and move the discussion there, because they're hoping to get a gotcha moment on their opponent where they don't know what they're talking about. I don't think it's productive. I think it's stupid. I hate when people do this, honestly. But, I mean, both sides do it. It is what it is.
Promising people in the state of California that they're going to do something about the problem. Yet they have unlimited power here.
So we're going to go ahead and skip to later on in this same talking point.
Basically, it's mob rule. It's Marxism. It's mob rule. It's
False. Literally all wrong. Communism is a stateless, classless, moneyless society.
okay.
That's not true. I mean, just off the bat, that's not true. Communism is not stateless. Classless, you can argue that. I mean, I think communism is an economic philosophy in theory. It's not, it doesn't have anything to do with the structure of the government, whether it's a democracy or a tyranny or anything like that. I mean, communism could be a democracy in theory, right? A communist economy could still be, democratic in the way that they enact policy, they hold their elections, right? They have leadership. They could elect people who run their institutions, the military, defense, Department of Defense, police. Those could all still be democratically elected positions in a communist economy. So I don't think stateless is the right way to put it. A lot of people hold that notion, feel that way about communism. That's not true. Capitalism, capitalism obviously could be tyrannical as well. Economically, you could be able to own your own property and purchase things and have freedom of will in that regard, but you could be living under tyrannical rule in basically every other way, socially, with respect to your education system, what's allowed to be taught, what you're allowed to view, things like that. That could still be, tyrannical and undemocratic, and it still would be capitalism.
Welcome in. Doing all right.
Trump's administration versus Biden's, objectively 2016 to 2020, and then under Biden so far up to date. Objectively, the economy was better under Trump. Inflation was as high as, I believe, 9% under Biden. It's destroying the middle class, and then it's...
So let me tell you, this is why the reason. Look, right. There are three ways to address the national debt: raise taxes, print more money, or I'm blanking on the third one. But the Democrats like to do both. I mean, everybody prints more money to tackle the national debt. Democrats like to raise taxes. Reducing spending. I'm sorry, reducing spending is the other one. That's what the Republicans like to do. They like to reduce welfare spending and reduce the outflow of tax revenue, so that when the amount of money they collect can be used more to pay down the debt. So there are a couple different ways to do that. I do think both sides print money, but inflation was very high under Biden because of the money printing.
Also putting people in more poverty. So how does that make
the money printing to achieve the end of paying down the debt?
Trump not be in support of American people? If it's breaking down the middle class, putting people in more poverty.
Yeah.
So things in the grocery store are 4 times higher to pay for. People are having harder time to put food on the table for their families.
Yeah.
During the Biden administration versus Trump. So I want you to explain.
Well, let's start off here. Do you think that the Biden-Harris administration caused inflation?
Yeah, because under Trump's administration and the policies he induced, inflation was never that high.
Okay,
And then after
so-
COVID hit and Biden's administration took over, everything skyrocketed. Gas
Okay.
prices, grocery stores,
So
everything.
your argument here is because it happened in the country while they were president, they caused it. So my question to you is, did Donald Trump cause the highest rate of unemployment that we've had since the Great Depression in August of 2020 at 14.8% simply because it happened under his administration?
No, simply because people couldn't leave their home, which was, causing people to.
And
be
now we're
fired from
introducing
their
external
jobs.
variables. So in the same way COVID caused, right, that high rate of unemployment that we had under Trump's term, COVID also caused the global inflation that we saw onset at the beginning of the Biden-Harris administration. This didn't happen locally in the U.S. This inflation happened all around the globe. But a fun fact here, the Biden-Harris administration actually ushered in the quickest response from the inflation onset by the pandemic out of any other country in the G7.
That's tough. Decent point. I'm going to move on.
Ms. Kamala Harris would be a much better president than Donald Trump.
I don't know if that last point was tough or not. I wasn't paying attention, honestly. He just yaps too much, and I can't fucking keep up. He usually doesn't say anything of worth. Just kind of rambles with statistics. But basically, the fact that we were the fastest to recover from COVID-induced inflation says a lot. But you can't really attribute that just to the administration at the time. Maybe that would have happened under Trump as well. Who knows?
I don't believe that Kamala Harris would be a better president than President Trump. And the reason why I believe that is because Kamala Harris has had many chances. When she was a district attorney in San Francisco, she convicted more people of minor crimes than any other DA of San Francisco. And I know this too because I lived in San Francisco for a period of time, and I understand the criminal justice system to a certain extent. So Kamala Harris, if you have her as president, she's going to go after people for minor offenses. She's going to try to convict people for even marijuana, for an example. I mean, come on. Most people in this country have already been past this whole issue with cannabis and everything. And I think that's something that should be overlooked, and it should be something that should be legalized on a federal level as well. But I do believe that Kamala Harris, if she convicted people of small petty stuff like people having a minor amount of marijuana and had the highest conviction rate in San Francisco, how can you have someone like that as president? And she was also married into the Getty family. Jean Paul Getty is...
I actually agree with him on that. If you're a liberal, right, how hypocritical is it that you are putting somebody who was a DA? You know what I mean? Her job was to get people locked up. Now, of course, people who are DAs are going to be like, because I've talked to some district attorneys before, they're going to be like, our job is to make sure that we're prosecuting things fairly and giving everybody like blah, 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 blah. No, bro. Like, your job is to, you're not going to throw the book at everybody, right? But your job is to prosecute these crimes. Their job is to defend themselves, legally or with a public defender. And so, it's just, the job itself is intended to lock people up. And it's a very narc-ish job. And you guys are liberals, and you guys are Democrats, and you want to talk about, freeing people, how this justice system is unjust, which I agree with. I do agree with the blue side on that. The blues have it on that. You know what I mean? The criminal justice system here is ridiculous, right? Perception is everything in a judge. If you walk in looking like me to a courtroom, it depends. If I'm wearing this, you know what I mean? I probably have a much better chance than if I'm not and I have the tattoos out. You see what I'm saying? Like, stuff like that, these snap decisions. It's just a ridiculous. It does need reform, but you're putting the problem into office. So, nah.
It does an elite family in the state of California. So how is it that you're gonna say, oh, Kamala Harris is better than President Trump?
Of course. First, let's respond to a couple of your claims there. How many people did she convict? Not a clue. 45. And what did she do in 2014?
45. You're saying she convicted only 45 people of possession of marijuana?
Yes. And what did she do?
That is not true. That is not true. That she convicted only 45 people of marijuana. If she was a district attorney, and she...
I'm glad they had this fact check. Because, see, this is the thing about Dean, right? He just talks fast enough with these bullshit stats and these bullshit things that people don't catch his bullshit. But he's full of shit for the most part. You know what I mean? And I recognize what I sound like, right? Me saying, oh, he's a fast-talking elitist. I sound like an idiot, right? I sound like a schmuck. But the reality, that's him, right? He's a scammer in that way. He just has to rapidly churn out all his bullshit so nobody notices. And then, you know what I mean, chances of it getting fact-checked on fucking TikTok, like, what are the odds of that, right? And somebody actually having a platform large enough to check him, like, he just usually pulls those over on people. I'm glad they have this on screen, though. 1900 versus 45? Yeah, come on, man. Big difference.
Had other DAs in the district attorney's office
Do you mind if I finish talking?
prosecuting those small crimes.
Yes, sir. Do you mind if
She had more than 45 convictions in that office alone.
So, yeah, she only had over...
You've had a lot of time to talk. I mean, the whole time. I really don't have a lot of time here. But so what I'm saying is...
I just want to be able to finish this point out.
Go ahead. You're saying 45 convictions, but you're not giving me facts.
Yeah, so while she was DA, it is a... Welcome in.
You see that, bro? That's a tactic right there. He just ended up stalling and filibustering until he couldn't get called out on his bullshit, and he knew the rotation was coming. It's crazy.
Hi.
Hi. So, do you mind if I give you my reasons why I think that Harrison would be a better president?
If you want.
Cool. So there's two main categorical reasons why I say Harris would be better than Trump. The first category is character. The second category is policy. Let's start off with character. First of all, Trump is a sexual abuser. Trump is a felon. Trump is a fraudster. Trump is an election denier.
Character? I'm going to rewind here.
Cool. So there's two main categorical reasons why I say Harris would be better than Trump. The first category is character. The second category is policy. Let's start off with character.
Character is irrelevant, nearly irrelevant to this discussion, in my opinion. Policy, of course, it's meaningful, but we'll see. I mean, and also the character. I mean, these character attacks he's gonna make are just so vague, broad, conclusory. Honestly.
First of all, Trump is a sexual abuser. Trump is a felon. Trump is a fraudster. Trump is an election denier. He's a dictator on day one, wannabe fascist. Okay? Kamala Harris is none of those. Kamala Harris wants to protect and preserve democracy. She wants to fight for the freedoms of all Americans, especially the 170 million American women and girls. And then we could reference...
That seems like he's making a policy argument in his character section. But anyway.
It's policy next. If you want to respond to character, go for it. If you want me to hop straight into policy, I can do that too.
Well, starting with character, I technically do not think she's a good person. Speaking of which, if we're bringing up stuff from the past, we can say she slept with Willie Brown, broke up a family just to get her job. And while she was there, she used a firm that was putting people in jail that had false positives on drug tests. And she knew they had false positives. She admitted to that. And she was still putting mainly black and brown people in jail. Considering I'm both, that is very much a big issue for me. And also that a woman shouldn't represent, they should just sleep to the top for their job. They should actually work hard for it.
Facts. I like what she's saying.
Generally don't think that she's a good representative. There's plenty of other women out there.
Yeah, I have a question. How many votes did she get in a run for AG? Do you know?
Bro, toxic feminism is such an issue. Like, some women really think that in order to get ahead or get even with men, that women should be dirty and play dirty. It's bad.
Now, how many votes did she get in a run?
We're talking about character, though.
Of course.
That's
We'll
character
talk about
and morals.
We're
If we're mentioning character and morals here, she's clearly not a good person.
I'm responding to your
just
claim.
Like you had mentioned all that stuff about Trump, which could be true.
I'm referencing your claim that
I'm
referencing your claim that she slept to the top. How many votes did she get when she was running for AG and DA in the state of California?
But that has nothing to do with the fact.
It does. She got 4.5 million votes in total. 80 million for her run for AG or DA. I don't remember which one. Then 4.4 million for the other one. I have a question. You're saying that she slept her way to the top. How many of those 4.5 million people that voted for her did she have to sleep with?
Well, obviously we're in California, and this is pretty corrupt.
I mean, you don't know, man. She could have been Bonnie Blue back there. Who knows? No, I'm kidding. I mean, look, this character argument is ridiculous. He's right in a way, but at the same time, like, the political system is corrupt. To be in a position to even get votes, you can easily sleep your way to that position. It's just, this is a ridiculous thing to be talking about. Their personal lives and their character don't matter.
But to say that she needed the votes of most people that matter, which is the person she slept with, could actually overturn and hide these votes just like they did with the election. But
listen, the idea that women have to sleep with men to get into positions
and that's
of power
exactly what she
is
did.
a misogynistic
exactly
lie. One moment.
She's saying that
do you mind if I finish talking real quick?
We have to open our legs.
And see, he's strawmanning here by saying that was her point. She was the one that said, it's a bad example for women. Kamala Harris is a bad example for women because sleeping your way to the top shouldn't be what we show women as their representation, right, in politics and in successful fields. And now he's trying to attack her on her own point, using her own point against her. It's just weaponized. It's a political debate tactic. It's a debate tactic. He's not arguing on merits right now.
Get jobs. That's exactly how she used it.
Do you mind if I just finish talking real quick? Also, I would like to finish out this conversation. There's a lot of red flags up, though. So saying that women have to sleep with men to get into positions of power is a misogynistic lie. What
I
you are
didn't say
doing,
that. She just
one
did
moment,
that.
one moment.
That's what she represents.
What you are
That's what I'm
doing,
saying, guys.
what you are doing is you are taking Kamala Harris, you are taking her character, you are taking her proposed policy, you are taking her intelligence, and you're taking her wisdom, and you're throwing it out of the window.
Yeah, but she didn't say that, so that's why it's a straw man argument. We're gonna go ahead and skip ahead. That's not what this girl was saying, right? He is saying that she said that, but she didn't say that. So he's saying she said something. Instead of attacking her, he's attacking this straw man over here that he's drawn up. He's building the straw man, and then he's attacking the straw man. He's not attacking her actual point. And a lot of people, it'll go over their heads and think Dean's smart and follow him on TikTok and shit, and he's an idiot. So here we go. Let's move.
Turn around and champion Donald Trump, who's cheated on 3 of his wives, one with a porn star, and has ongoing civil litigation against him in which he was determined that he was guilty of sexual abuse.
That's
Again, already I just jumped to a random point, but he's attacking character, and he's being pretty conclusory about these things. Like, we don't know if all of those things happened. I'm sure that Donald Trump had some connection to that situation, which is not great, but it's about how his policy is going to affect American family values, right? That would be what these voters are concerned with, not his personal family values or what he does with his family. That's not what they're thinking about. That's not what, that's not the point of voting. Voting is about trying to get the policy that you want enacted. And if this candidate is a felon and a criminal and a thug, you know what I mean, ex-drug dealer, whatever he might be, but he wants to do this, then you're going to vote for that guy. You're not going to vote for the other guy just because, he wears a button down, right? It's not how it works.
Something that's very personal, and you have to have been there in order to know what exactly goes on. Marriages are very tough. There's something that's very difficult, and again, we don't know what happened.
No, but this guy, now I gotta take the other side now, because he's talking about marriages being tough as a reason why to justify infidelity. Bro, you shouldn't cheat. Point blank. There's no defending that. It's just ridiculous. That's a ridiculous line of thinking as well. So using that as a defense doesn't work. This whole topic is, what they're talking about right now is circular and stupid.
Yeah, he has failed marriages, but many people have failed marriages.
Okay. Do you mind if I ask you another question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so you said that you really care about the family unit.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I don't see how, any conservative or Trump supporter could say that they care about the family unit because of how hard y'all fight for pro-life legislation. So voting for pro-life legislation without good reason, what this leads to is the destruction of the family unit. You're shifting the American focus away from financially well-off adults that consent to start a family, that desire to have kids, to forcing 18, 19, 20-year-old boys and girls into starting a family because the state isn't allowing the woman the access to health care that she deserves. It leads to higher rates of poverty, it leads to lower rates of employment, lower rates of education, and lower qualities of life, all things considered. Another point would be, conservative stance on being anti-IVF, right? I think that IVF serves as a savior for family units that are wanted to be by many of American citizens.
Your first point of being for pro-life is that is a human life. That is a child in and of itself. I always hear constantly the argument of, if men were the ones having babies, then it would be a different situation. Maybe. But that's not the case. The case is that women are the ones that bear children, and that is a life unto itself, and therefore it is deserving of its own human rights and its own human life. And you brought up many points which can you repeat for me so I can.
Yeah, of course. If you feel free to cut me off if I'm talking too fast, or if you want me to slow down.
Yeah, of course.
These points. I want to make sure that we could try to have.
Me too.
My other points were being anti-IVF. I think that IVF allows American citizens to start a family when they wouldn't otherwise be able to. Being anti-IVF prevents them from starting a family. Another point would be being anti-LGBTQ+, saying that you care about family.
I don't really see how you can be anti-IVF. What does it have to do with you? That's a ridiculous stance to take. Someone being anti-IVF. So I agree with him on that one.
Values unless it's 2 men or unless it's 2 women, and then it's morally abominable. And then the third point would be just championing Donald Trump, who's cheated on 3 of his wives, one with a porn star, has sexualized little girls, and has been held civilly liable for sexual abuse.
Been held civilly liable. I mean, yeah, man, that's a tough one because the police don't do anything if they can't prove it. So you do kind of have to go through civil court as a victim of these things. It's a tough one. It's a tough one. I'm not going to defend him on that one. Not going to defend Donald Trump on that one. And I'm not interested in doing so. I'm not a Trumpist. I'm not a fucking Republican, right? I'm an independent guy. I'm a neutral observer.
Sure. So, on one hand, I kind of agree with you because I don't think that the average conservative cares about family enough, but I would say that conservatives care a lot more about the family unit than liberals and then people on the left, especially like was brought up when it comes to the pro-life issue, when it comes to promoting the whole LGBT, like all of these things are generally anti-family, and liberals are also generally very individualistic, while conservatives have always been more on the side of conserving the family unit.
Okay, I would strongly disagree that liberals are going to be more individualistic. I mean, like, if we just look at Trump and the policy he passed while he was president, can you name one policy he influenced to get passed that been...
Liberals are absolutely more individualistic. 100%. Think about all the policy that liberals are after. They don't think of it on a societal level. They think of it on a human rights level. That is individualistic. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, right? I mean, human rights are important, right? And social justice is important. But the liberal agenda is individualistic by nature. You think about abortion, you want people on an individual level to have the right to abortion, notwithstanding its impact on society, right? Legalization of marijuana, that was largely first a liberal talking point. I would argue that having marijuana legal is bad for society. I've made a video on this before, right? It's not good for society for people to be just smoking weed everywhere and not doing stuff and pushing us forward. How is that going to have us compared to other countries, right? Those countries are going to dominate us if we have a bunch of potheads and they have productive citizens. But on an individual level, you want that liberty, and you should have the right to have that. That's your moral stance as a liberal, right? There are plenty, down the line, this is how liberals feel. Welfare, right? Welfare, these individuals deserve to, be taken care of by the government because they're struggling individually. You can make a societal argument for welfare too, but by and large, the societal side goes against welfare, because how does it help society to have a whole class of people that are supported by the government, supported by taxpayer dollars? It doesn't. Those people need to flounder and need to, have the hunger pains to go get a job, man. If you're looking at it from a societal perspective. Now, if you're looking at it from an individual perspective, yeah, it's a little bit fucked up for them to just starve, right? Or for these people to not have health care. That's messed up. But at the end of the day, if we're going to keep, if we look at it from an overall societal perspective, it's impossible to fund these people. Same with the ICE raids. The liberal side is largely always about human rights and social justice, which is individualistic by nature.
Benefited the low or the middle class more so than the top 1%?
I don't know when I'm speaking about individualistic on the terms of economics, yes, I would say conservatives are more individualistic, as in we're not socialists, we're not wanting to redistribute wealth, yes.
Socialist. Real quick, can you define socialism for me?
When I'm speaking about socialism, I'm talking about the redistribution of wealth and promoting the welfare system.
Okay, so socialism is just a mode of production, so it just has to do with the workers owning the means of production. The only reason I'm pointing this out is because I feel like MAGA, Republicans, conservatives as a whole, have really misconstrued socialism, communism, etc. But one last question for you here. You said that promoting the LGBTQ plus community is anti-family. How so?
Because, for instance, conservatives and people on the right have more... Okay.
Look, en masse, there's more promiscuity in that community. It's statistically true, okay? So, and promiscuity is detrimental to the family unit. I'm not making an argument I am very in favor of LGBTQ plus, I guess it's now LGBTQIA plus, and eventually it's going to be 35 letters long, but that, I'm in favor of LGBTQIA plus rights, for sure. I think that everybody should have basic human rights and be able to marry and things of that nature. It's ridiculous to be holding people back from making their own choices. But statistically, I would say that the family unit argument is there. All right, let's move on.
Claim is Democrats are more patriotic than Republicans.
I'm sorry, I'll let you go next. I'm gonna be quick. Hello, sir.
I would love to talk to him. Hey, welcome back down.
I think patriotism is a disease. I think it's ridiculous. People claim they're patriots and they're felons and they're idiots and they just are the dregs of society. They drag the society down, but they have an American flag tattoo. But they're a better American than me. I'm not a patriot. All right, I'm just a fucking guy, but I'm a productive member of this society. I pull weight, bitch. I'm not a fucking skin. Like, you see what I'm saying? But these skins are patriots, so that makes them more American. Fuck them. You see what I'm saying? Like, that's a ridiculous argument. It's horrible. And that's what patriotism is about. It's about pounding your chest and being like, I'm red-blooded. Dude, like, you're performative and you probably actually hurt this society more than you help it, for the most part.
Okay, just for everyone's sake, I want you to tell me why you support your claim. And then I'll leave and people can yap at you. Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I like this guy. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. So yeah, I think that Democrats are more patriotic than Republicans because Republicans are currently platforming Donald Trump. And Donald Trump had attempted to launch a coup on our federal government in an attempt to overturn and rig the results of the 2020 election. And there's 4 reasons I say this. The first reason I say this is Donald Trump capitalized on the January 6th riots to pressure Senate in to postponing the votes. The second reason I say this is because Donald Trump sent fake slates of electorates to 7 different states to cast fake certificates of ascertainment into college to be certified as real by Mike Pence. The third reason I say this is because, well, he pressured Mike Pence into signing those fake certificates of ascertainment. And the fourth reason I say this is, well, this process of trying to circumvent our civil and electoral processes and literally trying to rig the outcome of the 2020 election is a direct threat and attack on our government and on our democracy. And it is
Every argument he's making against Donald Trump is fair, right? It's fair to attack those actions and attack Donald Trump for committing those actions and say that he is trying to circumvent democracy. You can say that. But to then, to base your whole idea of the Republican Party where there's opposition to Donald Trump within the party on these specific actions that Donald Trump did, I don't know, man. I think that's weak. I'm gonna go ahead and skip because I don't think that this premise is right, and he's trying to collate a couple different things. So.
Is immoral or not justified. And so I think it kind of comes down to 4 main reasons. So logically, the argument is to kill an innocent human being is morally wrong. I'm sure you agree with that one. The second is that abortion is the killing of an innocent human being. So therefore, abortion is morally wrong. So that's the logical argument. But I think there's 4 points that you're going to bring up that determine whether or not a fetus is human or not. So first is side.
This is good, right? What this guy's doing is actually good and honest political discourse. He's debating the counters ahead of time, like he's bringing up. I mean, he's making his counters for him, so we got to hear what Dean has to say. But he's not attacking, straw mans. He's not attacking Dean. He's talking about why his argument and his political position is correct and right and just, and why the counters to that may not work as well as Dean may say they do, right?
Second is level of development. 3 is environment. And 4th is degree of dependency. So all those things, kind of what I hear pro-choicers say, fall under those categories. And none of those categories determine human value or human worth. You being valuable as a human is based, one, in the fact that you are a human, like that you are part of the human species.
Okay.
But secondly, I would say because you are made in the image of God as well.
Okay.
And so that would be, I think, the
It's a religious argument, has no place in politics.
basis of why I am pro-life.
Okay, yeah, let's have a conversation about this, man. So first of all, I'll just tell you why I'm pro-choice. So I'm pro-choice because I only value life forms that would fall into a specific conjunction of traits. I value any life form that has a conjunction between past or present and future subjective experiences, and it's not until about 20 through 24 weeks that is true of a fetus. Therefore, prior to that point, I'm not going to associate value with the life of that fetus. Second of all, you said that a human was valuable, A, because it's human, and B, it's made in the image of God. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about the idea that you value it because it's made in the image of God, and that is what makes you vote for pro-life legislation. I don't think that we should be using faith-based beliefs to vote for legislation.
Agreed. I agree with him on this one. Again, I don't like Dean Withers personally because I've had interactions with him where they were not pleasant. I don't like him, but I agree with him on that point. We should not be using faith-based anything in anywhere in politics, period.
Why?
Because when this has been used historically, this has led to very negative outcomes. One individual might say...
That's not true.
One moment. So one person might say that's...
I mean, you're asking for the Christian version of Sharia law, right? Which is what you guys all cry about. So it's not good to bring faith into politics. Somebody's always going to be left out. Obviously, I'm a minority. My people represent like 1% of this country, if that. So maybe 0.7. I think 1.3 now, actually. But, that wouldn't represent me very well, and it also would leave a lot of disenfranchised people.
Slavery is okay because God said so, and you're saying that abortion...
And even if I was the majority, I still wouldn't want that to be how legislation worked.
...is wrong because God said so. How do we distinguish between those two statements?
See, I never...
And also, image of God, does that mean we just kill puppies, right? Bad argument.
Said that, actually. I gave a whole logical argument that's separate from scripture. But
okay, we can talk.
But you agreed to my first premise, so I don't even know why you're bringing it up. It just seems kind of like a red herring.
Okay.
So you agree to my first premise that killing an innocent human person is wrong, right?
I do not. So I don't think in all scenarios that ending the life of an innocent human being is wrong. I wouldn't say that it would be wrong for...
That's a crazy statement to make. I don't think in all scenarios that ending the life of an innocent human being is wrong. Is a crazy statement to make. Let's see what he says.
Fetus before 20 through 24 weeks for the reason it falls outside of that conjunction of value I gave you. It doesn't have the ability to deploy first-person subjective experitions. And maybe you'll...
So what does that mean? Explain that to me.
Yeah, so like a first-person subjective experience is, like a type of qualia that we all experience and, gives us an inference of the idea that you're sitting in a chair in front of a microphone and you can engage with me in a subjective way. It's a little bit hard to explain. But...
Yeah, that's ridiculous. I mean, look, there's the Sorites paradox, right? If you guys look into that, it's like, where do you draw the line? We're in a heap of sand. If you keep taking a grain out of that heap of sand, at what point is it no longer considered a heap, right? It's the same thing with this baby discussion. Like, I don't know when a fetus is a person, when it's not. Is it at conception? I mean, I'm not gonna pass judgment on that. This is not a topic that I can actually weigh in on for that reason. But I think that his argument, like, he's trying to draw an arbitrary line in the sand, whereas like the right and the Christian side will draw a different arbitrary line in the sand. So it's just both sides are arbitrary.
But we could sum this up as consciousness. And then second of all, let's see if maybe you agree with your first premise. What do you say it is murder to pull the plug on a brain-dead patient?
Yeah, but I think that's irrelevant to the debate.
You say that that's murder and it's not irrelevant to the debate. So do you think that should be made illegal?
Yeah, I think so.
To pull the plug on a brain-dead patient?
Yeah, if that person is still alive, then yeah, we cannot make that choice.
Okay.
I hear you. I agree with him on that. It'd be a little messed up, right? Imagine if you had a chance and somebody else pulled the plug on you and you wanted to live. I don't think that's right.
We have to let nature take its course for that.
Okay. Maybe something else we could say here. Human life begins at the moment of conception, yeah?
Yeah, I would agree to that.
Okay, and it's murder to kill it after that. So would you say, this was a question I asked earlier, would you say that women with IUDs can be murderers? Because in some contexts, an IUD will allow for conception to occur, but then it will...
IUD, explain that.
So an IUD is a form of birth control. It's inserted into a female's cervix, I believe. Maybe I'll get fact-checked.
Well, so yeah,
I mean, what it does is in some scenarios, it can prevent conception of a unicellular zygote. In others, it will allow for conception to occur, then prevent implantation.
If conception happens and then the fetus is terminated, that is murder.
Okay, so you'd say that some women with IUDs are murderers?
Yeah.
Okay, do you think that all murderers should go to jail?
Well, yeah, I do.
Okay, so then you'd say that some women with some forms of birth control should go to jail?
Yeah, and see now we're on a red herring though. You're
No,
talking
it's
about
not a reductive
policy.
adult service.
You're talking.
Yeah, he wants to criminalize the IUD. He doesn't want to send people who are currently law-abiding citizens to jail. That's not what he's saying. Again, yeah, red herring is the right way to put it. It's just an argumentative tactic. It's not good politics.
About policy, but what?
This isn't policy.
But you're avoiding the actual discussion.
No, this isn't
the
avoiding
actual
the
discussion. Is what is a fetus? What is the unborn? And your only argument against that was level of development. And you said you have to be conscious that's what you value.
Okay,
Yeah?
so first of all...
Is that correct?
Yeah, so
That your only
I only value life forms that have a conjunction of past or present and future subjective experiences, but I would like to repeat, no, that line of questioning was not a red herring. It was using your logic to imply a certain...
No, but
That's still, I mean, he's trying to be more specific about what he thinks is a human life. It's still a little arbitrary to me. I mean, what he's defining it as, past and present, future experiences and whatnot, I don't know. This is a topic that I can't weigh in on. So I'm going to cut the video here. But yeah, man, appreciate it, guys. Let me know what I should talk about next, okay? Like, comment, subscribe.